Hello class, welcome back to week 2 of your macroeconomics course. And this video is to give you a chance to review some of the ideas that you'll see in chapter 2 of your textbook this week. And that's taking a look at probably the most challenging curriculum element of the chapter, which is trade, and particularly the issue of comparative advantage and how you can determine the comparative advantage for different products in a trade relationship. The key to this, as you'll have seen in Chapter 2 of your Krugman book, is the opportunity costs faced by the two countries or trading partners that are in the trade relationship. So remember, opportunity cost is whatever you give up when you make a decision, right? So when you decide to watch this video, you're giving up the opportunity to watch all the other videos on YouTube, right? So when you watch this video, your opportunity cost is all of the amusing fails or cat videos or pirated TV shows you could be enjoying on YouTube at this moment. Right? That's your opportunity cost because you gave it up and you decided to watch me. All right. So when we look at a trade relationship then, we want to determine the opportunity costs that the two trading partners face and compare those and see which trading partner or economy has the advantage in which good. And the basic principle is the economy that has the lower opportunity cost has the comparative advantage and should specialize in producing that product. Sort of the logic is, if I have a lower opportunity cost than you do at producing some product, it means I'm giving up less alternative stuff I could be producing than you would be with your higher opportunity cost. So let's use a simple example. I think it's always helpful. So here, okay, we've got two trading partners here. We've got the US and the European Union here. And you can see we've got their production possibility frontiers. As always, we've got two goods, one on each axis. So you can see we've got steel, tons of steel on the vertical, and thousands of PCs, computers, on the horizontal here. All right, get nice and close. Now then, okay, how do we get the opportunity costs from this? This is the type of data you would be given on a homework question or a quiz or in an exam setting. All right, so let's start with the U.S. over here. Okay, we can see that, remember, a production possibility frontier just shows us all the different combinations of the two goods that we're looking at here that an economy is capable of producing in some time period, let's say per month, just so that we have one. All right? So we can see this, the U.S. economy in this example can produce up to 400 tons of steel a month, or up to 2,000 PCs per month, personal computers, or any intermediate combination of those that fall along the PPF here, assuming the economy is at full efficiency, which is a typical assumption we make here. All right, so this economy, we've got these different levels of production. We want to find our opportunity costs for these different goods. Okay, opportunity cost is whatever we gave up. So let's start off finding the U.S., the American opportunity cost of 1 ton of steel. Okay, so the opportunity cost of steel right here. Okay, well, suppose that we focus completely on steel. So we're producing steel, make 400 tons per month. Well, what's the opportunity cost of focusing on steel? What are we giving up? Exactly. I can hear you in my brain. When we focus on steel like that, we're giving up the 2,000 computers that we could have chosen to make instead. That's the opportunity cost of those 400 tons of steel. So the opportunity cost of 1 ton of steel then would be the 2,000 PCs we could have made. But that's not the opportunity cost of 1 ton of steel, right? That's how many PCs we could make in a month. So that's the opportunity cost of the 400 tons of steel we made. So to get the real opportunity cost, we divide what we gave up, that's opportunity cost, we gave up 2,000 PCs, divided by the 400 tons of steel that we did get. All right? And if you do that division, 2,000 PCs divided by 400 tons of steel, we get 5 PCs per ton of steel. That's the opportunity cost in this example. That's the opportunity cost of 1 ton of steel. Give it the energy and time and resources it took to make a ton of steel, we could have made 5 fancy computers there. All right? Now, of course, we can do that the other way. Now, you get the opportunity cost of a personal computer here in the United States. We just do the opposite, right? So if we focus completely on making the personal computers, okay, make 2,000 PCs, what are we giving up then? And exactly, we're giving up the 400 tons of steel that we could have produced otherwise. Okay, so we're giving up 400 tons of steel and getting 2,000 computers. So that's going to be 1/5 a ton of steel per computer. And of course, it's the reciprocal of the original opportunity cost we found, right? 5 versus 1/5. They're inverted, right? They're reciprocals. And indeed, that's going to necessarily be true as long as we're dealing with a binary economy where we only produce 2 economic products. So when you're calculating these, it's always mathematically valid to simply calculate one opportunity cost and then invert it to get the other product's opportunity cost. So you can calculate that 5 PCs per ton of steel opportunity cost and simply invert it to get the one for the personal computers. All right? So those are the opportunity costs for the US. What about the European Union over here? Okay, what about these guys? Well, here we've got different numbers. They have different economy, different production possibilities, but the logic's exactly the same. So their opportunity cost of steel for these Europeans is going to be, if they focus completely on making steel, they make 600 tons, but they're giving up 1,000 PCs they could have made instead. So their opportunity cost of steel is the 1,000 computers they gave up divided by the 600 tons of steel that they got, and you'll come up with 5/3 of a PC per ton of steel, meaning with the energy and resources it takes to produce 1 ton of steel, they could produce a computer and be 2/3 of the way to manufacturing another one. That's what we mean. And of course we can calculate this again to get the opportunity cost for a computer in the European Union, but why don't we use that trick before? You can do the math or simply invert the fraction. We'd say the opportunity cost of one personal computer is 3/5 of a ton of steel. Alright, so that's all of the math here, and it's slightly tricky setting up those opportunity costs correctly. But now the work is basically done. For now, we have the opportunity costs for both trading partners for both goods. And remember, we told you, again, you read in your book, that the gains from trade come from comparative advantage as opposed to absolute advantage. Absolute advantage just refers to being able to outproduce your trading partner in terms of your ability to make a product. So if I can produce more of something than you, I can just outproduce you by pure volume. That's absolute advantage. On the other hand, if I can produce a product at a lower opportunity cost, that's comparative advantage, and that is what will drive specialization in this simplified setting. All right? So what we're looking for then, for each of our 2 products that we have in this example, steel and computers, we're taking a look and seeing which economy has the lower opportunity cost for that good. And whichever economy has that lower opportunity cost, they have the comparative advantage, and they will specialize in that good. All right, so looking back at our example here, okay, we've got our opportunity costs here set up like a little grid, and we want to see which economy will specialize in which product. Okay, well, we could see looking at that first row for steel, okay, every ton of steel the United States manufactures, we're giving up 5 personal computers that could have been produced. Whereas the European Union is only giving up 1 2/3 of a computer, right? 5/3 of a computer here. Okay, so whose opportunity cost is lower? That's right. It's the European Union. Okay, they're giving up fewer alternative production, or less alternative production, than the United States is. They have the lower opportunity cost, and therefore, using principle of comparative advantage, it is the European Union that will specialize in steel. And again, that's because they have the lower opportunity cost. There we go. And likewise, who will produce the personal computers? Okay, same logic. So the United States here, when we produce a personal computer, my little example, we're giving up 1/5 of a ton of steel that might have been produced instead of that computer. Whereas the European Union, For every PC they produce, they're giving up 60% of a ton of steel, 3/5. Well, obviously, they're giving up more steel production for every computer they produce than the United States is, and therefore the U.S. has the lower opportunity cost and has comparative advantage in manufacturing computers. All right. So, based only on these original PPFs that we started with, these two little diagrams here, based on those, you can get all the way to which economy has comparative advantage in the two products. Right? And usually, typically, this is as far as these programs, these questions on tests or quizzes or on homework will go. Right? We'll be going as far as calculating the specialization, who has comparative advantage, European Union in steel, United States in computers. In this example, using these numbers because of the lower opportunity costs they enjoy. Okay, so the question is, why don't the questions go further than that? Well, then comes the actual trade. And once we found that the U.S. will specialize in computers and the European Union will specialize in steel, the question is, on what terms of trade will they engage in commerce? So, how many tons of steel will the European Unions want to exchange for how many American computers? How many of product A for a unit of product B, basically. And that involves the issue of bargaining power and relative scarcity. And these are very legitimate and important economic subjects, and Krugman treats them thoughtfully, I think, in the textbook. But usually these types of, that kind of data has to be presented to you in the problem, which doesn't leave much for you to do. So typically these problems will involve giving you a pair of production possibility frontiers, just like in the example we just looked at, and we'll ask you to find opportunity costs for the products and determine which economy will specialize in which product. And that will give you a pretty good practice at working with these ideas and understanding the concepts of opportunity cost. And there you go. And that is sort of the centerpiece of Chapter 2. You will see production possibility frontiers in the first place to get used to, but it's relatively simple. And also a few other related ideas, primarily the circular flow diagram, which just allows you to see how goods and services and money flow through the economic system in sort of a circular pattern when looked at on the macro scale. It's very simple, very schematic in that way, but it's very important, but they aren't quite as challenging as dealing with those opportunity costs can be. So take a look at those textbook chapters, use the PowerPoint provided if that's useful, and enjoy this video, of course, as I know you did. And we'll be on the discussion boards looking at that specific issue we just referred to of the terms of trade in world commerce and taking a look at what could play a role in determining those terms of trade in different settings with regard to different products. Just a chance for you to think about different goods and how terms of trade could be influenced by different outside factors in different circumstances. And I'll see you on the boards there to discuss that, and you'll have a chance to put your knowledge to the test on this week's quiz come the end of the week. So see you on the boards.